So in this video I wanted to talk about how you cannot control everything that's going on in your life. Yesterday, I wanted to go to sleep at like 3 a.m., but unfortunately I fell asleep around 11 to 11:30 p.m. And I don't remember what exact time I woke up because it was still dark when I woke up. Then I tried to go back to sleep, and I don't know if I succeeded at going back to sleep or not. And now it's around 6:30 to 6:50 a.m., which means I couldn't control that much. I mean, if you are living the life of a bodybuilder, then you can control what food you eat. You can control your form of working out. You can control what workouts you do. But you cannot control your sleep. That's not in your control. You can't control the amount of hours that you go to sleep per day. As a worker, there are other things you can't control. You cannot control your salary. You can't control who you're going to work with. You can't control how many hours you're going to work because you cannot just call in sick all the time. Or you can't just take like days off or take an early dismissal due to an illness. For the same thing, an author cannot control that much. Like Akira Toriyama, he wrote Dragon Ball, and he wanted to make Dr. Gero or Android 20 and Android 19 the main villains of that story arc. But his editor forced him to change it. He couldn't control it. He could have just chosen to listen to his editor. He could have just chosen to reject the advice of his editor, but it seems like he didn't have the guts to do it. That's one thing he could have changed, but there are a lot of things that he could not change. He couldn't change the fact that fans liked Vegeta so much. He couldn't change the fact that fans liked Goku so much, which is why he chose to bring Goku back in the Buu Saga. If you live in an area where you only have wood as a resource to build things, then you can't control the material that you need to build a house. Houses require bricks too. They require cement, but if you only have trees and wood, then you're stuck at a dead end. You don't have any real choices. If you were in a plane crash and you crash landed on an island with no food, then that's not in your control. If you don't have plane driving skills, it's not in your control. And if you get on an island like that with no way out, then it's not in your control whether you will survive and live a good life or not. For most jobs, people will need transportation. If you don't have transportation, then you cannot get a decent job. And if you don't have good technology, like a laptop, a phone, or a computer, then you can't work behind the internet either. People act like you can control everything in your life, but no, you cannot. There are a lot of things that are out of your control. If you have a disease that you never really knew about, but now you know that you have this and you're going to die in like a few months, then that's not in your control. Because you didn't know about this disease beforehand. There were no signs of it. It's like Goku in Future Trunks' timeline. He didn't know about that he was going to get the heart virus, but then he got it. He might have gotten it from Namek or Yardrat. But it was completely out of his control. So he died. When Gohan was kidnapped by Piccolo in Dragon Ball Z, then it was out of his control. He couldn't escape because Piccolo was always keeping an eye on him to train him. When Raditz, before his death, told Piccolo that Vegeta and Nappa were going to come to Earth, then Piccolo could not control that because he couldn't go outside. He couldn't go in outer space. He didn't have the skills to do that. He couldn't go and stop Vegeta or Nappa from coming to Earth.